So you guys know this is for educational purposes, and our attorneys, of course, told us that it doesn't mean anything to read this unless it's a scientist, because a scientist is the only one allowed to talk off label. We do not do this for sales or marketing purposes, though. This educational deck is just an educational deck to try to teach people about certain things. We're not making claims to cure any disease or illness. We do not give medical advice of a physician or other healthcare provider. We don't do that because our company is a supplement company. We are not a doctor company that is treating patients. We are providing supplements for hopefully a greater life and for a better life. And that's what's so important. But again, we do not make claims, and we will never make claims. Even in our testimonials, people can tell their own testimonial or talk about it, but we need to be extremely careful because we are working for a company that's one of the fastest growing companies in this space. So we have to be very protective of the knowledge and not just use it to sell a product, but this knowledge should be used to help people throughout the world with whatever illness they have, because our purpose is to help clean the body, support the body, provide barricades and also barriers to illnesses. And that's really what we do. And today we're really going to talk about the impact of heavy metals and toxins within athletes and people. So in the next slide, we're talking about really how people train and what happens every day when they go outside. So whether you're an athlete that's 5 or an athlete that's 80 or an athlete that's a professional athlete in the Olympics, you're being affected by environmental toxins the whole time. And that's why for us, it's really important that we provided a solution for people. We think everybody should be on clean slate, right? We think everyone should start with cleaning out your body, taking the trash out so that your body can operate optimally. And that's our belief. We think that through the signaling in the body, we're able to help clean and get people better so that they can then go on to perform even better. So that's why today we're going to talk about the Root Fitness Pack, which includes 0 Restore, and Give Me Back My Youth.
And this is new because we've designed this because of having a bunch of new athletes that are coming on board and wanting to put something specific together. And you're going to see why these are important together. And as she mentioned, Clean Slate is one that should be added to this, but it's done separately because these are coming in a pack to give people a discount. But Clean Slate's got to be ideally part of this. But are you saying that there's toxins in athletes, but aren't these like the elite of us that are performing?
It doesn't matter how elite someone is. Everyone's exposed to toxins. It has nothing to do with if they're smart, like if you're an intelligent person or a wealthy person or a good athlete, you're exposed to heavy metals everywhere. So all of us are. And if you think about it, if we could help break apart those toxins in the body and get rid of them, it would cause everything from the GI to your heart, to your brain, and everything in between to be able to function correctly. It's really important. In fact, when the air quality is poor, when the oxygen level is not great, it's hard to perform anyway. And if you put that along with the heavy metals that are in the body, it becomes even worse. The prolonged exposure to toxins has nothing to do with how good you are at a sport, or how beautiful you are, or how wealthy you are, how powerful you are, how poor you are, how much you need something. We're all exposed in the same way. So we've got to really work together to break those out. But when you're a performance athlete, you're trying to go against the top people in the world. And to do that, you've got this slight edge. And that slight edge is something that Root is here for. We're here to give that athlete the ability to cross over and be better than other athletes because they have our products and it's helping them perform. And I would say this, as much as I care about us sponsoring different athletes and being involved, I care even more about every person's life that's on this call. So when you think about this, think about the fact that you are an athlete in your own way. You are a person that's trying to perform at your highest peak every day. And I would argue being an athlete's great, but what's even better in life is being able to perform at your optimal level. If you're a mother, if you're working as a man or a woman, if you're an ambassador and you're going out there, we all need to perform at the highest level possible.
So one little note on this is actually kind of interesting because we didn't have any influence in creating this slide. It was due to the work of Kreider.
Kreider,
But
yeah, our son Kreider actually did this slide deck.
the intern's done his first deck. So the interesting component to this is if you look at the artwork, the soccer pitch that is there, the artificial turf that you see. I grew up in the state of Washington, and this is where the first study came out that they found that, and it was in women's soccer that they discovered this, which is where the data has really been focused because of women's endocrine systems functioning differently than men's or a boy's system, that this artificial turf and the petroleum distillates that they use to make the little rubberized stuff actually causes leukemia. And they saw this explosion in leukemia in these girls, but when they started to look at it, they were soccer players, but the most prevalent were goalkeepers because the goalkeepers were constantly diving and they were, getting into the turf and getting all this stuff rubbed on them, getting road rash. It was getting into their bloodstream basically, and it was causing leukemia. And so when you look at the impact of your environment, it's in many different aspects, many things that you might not think of. So we know the impact on this, but now let's get into how some of these might affect us and why
it's important to get rid of environmental toxins. It's a topic no one wants to talk about. I want to talk about it. Guess why? I want my kids to have the best immune systems possible. I want to have the most effective way of fighting inflammation in my body. I've had cancer. I've had Lyme disease. I get sick easy. I need my immune system to be strong. I need the inflammation to go down in my body. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I had Lyme disease. You don't see that in me because I'm constantly taking things that help basically raise the immune system and lower inflammation and lower the stress in my body. And that's what we have to do. Your environmental toxins disrupt an immune system. It makes it weaker. Environmental toxins make you stressed and inflamed inside the body. So everyone's worried about weight gain. Stress causes weight gain. Toxins, heavy metals cause weight gain. I just did a call with an influencer from Germany that was friends with Mark, very nice gentleman, and he has 800,000 followers. I met him in Cologne, and he was talking to me about how much weight he lost the first couple of weeks on Clean Slate. And by taking our other products like Restore and Relive and Zero In and different things we have. And I explained to him that was probably because of the toxins in his body, because when you rip that apart, some people will gain weight at first, but then they'll lose it. And some people lose weight right away. And I want to remind everyone, we're talking about an athlete pack today, because this is what we recommend for athletes and people to take to perform at their highest. But adding things like Relive Greens, adding things like Immune Defense Shield are really important as well. Because if you look at it, you're just constantly trying to be your best. And if someone said to me today, "Are you your best, Christina?" I would say, no, I'm working towards that every day. And that includes getting rid of the environmental toxins that are within your body that come from the environment.
Well, and the inflammation and oxidative stress also comes from just exercise in general.
Yeah.
Right? Of working out or training or competing. You're actually working muscles, which is creating extra oxidative stress, which is creating inflammation, which is what the recovery process is, in sports, which the recovery process is actually as or more important than the training work itself. And I will argue, and any really good sports physiologist is going to put the same on this, that the recovery phase, your sleep cycles and your ability to flush lactic acid, to reduce this inflammation, to reduce the oxidative stress, is more important than the work you're doing, because the recovery and the regeneration and the building of new muscle, the building of new neural pathways, the creation of that ability to fire faster all comes from recovery and sleep.
Yeah.
And so you have to work on both of those. And the endocrine disruption standpoint that comes with those as well, with those pollutants and the toxins and everything that we're exposed to, inhibits our ability to recover. So you want to hit on both. And we'll dive into Zero In on that and why that's important, because we're seeing some really cool stuff with that. I might even pull Ginger Key on it on Insight.
Well, at night, I want to talk about heavy metals and toxins as it pertains to specific things, which is why this is on here. And at first I was like, I don't like this slide. This is not appeasing, but it's not meant to be, because we want to show people that heavy metals and toxins impair your performance, because they really can help they really hurt all the processes leading up to performance. So they impair it, they reduce the strength, they make people have decreased endurance and fatigue, which is not good. So your athletes that are not getting rid of the heavy metals and toxins, that's a problem. The athletes that aren't supporting their bodies because they need more endurance, they need more strength, they need less fatigue, that's a problem. And then when you look at the lungs are important to every single sport because you've got to have endurance, you have to have oxygen, or else you don't do as well. And not only that, you can leave a sport event and have issues with the lungs that weren't there before the event because you're really trying to push yourself. So you've got to make sure that you're cleaning that out. And then finally, the neurological effects are probably the worst thing of all of it. Your cognitive functioning, your ability to move and make quick decisions, it's run by heavy metals. So, and I would say this goes back to, again, you want to perform as an athlete, you want to perform as a father, as a mother, as a friend, you've got to be performing. And anyone that doesn't value their own life and understand that, I really want you guys to think about that. You are in your own way an athlete or a performer in everything you're doing every day. So try to do your best and try to help your friends and family and other people you know hit this, and try to explain to them what's happening when they're not getting rid of heavy metals and toxins.
The one addition to this with these three, when you look at impaired performance and lung capacity and neurological component, the other key piece to this is actually connective tissue. And we've seen an explosion over the last 10 years, and some people equate it to new training and such, which is wrong. But the combination of glyphosate and toxic metals like mercury, lead, and aluminum actually cause a tremendous amount of damage to the connective tissue. So when you look at women athletes or young girls, they're tearing ACLs like crazy, and they're ripping apart their knees. And you're seeing the same thing in men, where you have hamstrings and ACLs and knee injuries and shoulder injuries, because the connective tissue, the collagen, is degraded, it's damaged because of the toxicity that's in our system. So when someone's training, they actually end up just tearing an anterior cruciate or a posterior cruciate or a medial collateral ligament. So you have this connective tissue that becomes weakened. And if you're training constantly, you're doing things that should strengthen them, but the environment that's within you is actually making you weaker, and then you just end up breaking and falling apart. So you have the physical component, as well as the neurological. And I will say the neurological component is the most important in sports performance, because there's the genetic gifts that we're all given. There's a level of training that we can all attain, but greatness in any aspect of performance comes from the mental and neurological component. And there's only one way to boost that legally.
Zero in. I had a dinner last night. Clay couldn't go. Ted and I went to a dinner, and we were talking about performance. We were talking about athletes and how important it is because of all the cardiovascular issues that have been happening lately, and how we have to support athletes because they've had so many heart attacks and brain aneurysms and everything. And so we talked about zero in. We talked about clean slate, of course, and how we could help with that detoxification. When we got to zero in, I just had to tell you guys, the individual wasn't that familiar with it. And twice between yesterday and today, people asked me, can you get addicted to this? And my answer is, this is a natural thing that is non-addictive. You're using pine bark and velvet bean, L-theanine. You're really trying to help people cognitively focus in and make sure that they're getting things done like they need to. If I don't take zero in the morning, I don't feel the same. I'm not sure what just happened, babe.
I'm going back and forth.
Sorry, guys. I hope that you guys can still. Patrick, can you guys still hear us?
Yeah, we're good there.
Yeah, you guys are good.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So yeah, it's real important that we focus on zero in because of this. It's not just affecting the brain, it's affecting the heart and the stomach and the whole body when you're taking zero in. I take one in the morning. Some athletes, and you'll see this in the protocol, will take 2 of those before an event and 2 after. Some will take, 3. Everyone has a different protocol that they're taking with zero in, and everyone's a little bit different because their bodies are different. And then, of course, Go ahead.
and different activities use different amounts of neurotransmitters during exercise and
Absolutely.
during competition. So like with golf, with our professional golfers thus far, we found, some of them are using one or two before a round and then either another couple at the turn. But as with the science of maintaining peak plasma levels and creating that steady state in the body, that some like it every 6 holes. Right, you start with a couple, and then on the 6th hole, you add another 0 in, and at the turn, at the 9th or 10th, between the 9th and the 10th hole, you take a half a sachet of Restore, and on the 12th hole, you'll take another 0 in, and that way you've got this amazing flow, basically the flow state that you hear athletes talk about, but you're just completely zoned out for the entire round of golf. But everybody's different. I know for me, I like 3 before a round of golf, and then another 1 or 2 at the turn because that works well for me, and then.
Yeah, I could never do that.
I love it.
I don't like to feel like I just feel normal when I take one in the morning. But now I will tell you, if I'm performing as an athlete, like if I'm skiing or different things like that, I take more than one. Not for golf. I'm just not a golfer, but I do for the other. I don't want to leave this out either behind. We already talked about the 0 in, but also of course Restore is important, as Clyde just mentioned, and then Give Me Back My Youth because of your immune system and your GI, but not just because of that. Give Me Back My Youth is important for the ligaments and the muscles. Collagen and colostrum is very important for you as an athlete. I'm sure you guys know that.
Your gut.
And not again just for the gut, for the lining of your muscles and your tissue, and to recoup everything. It's
the
really
regeneration
important.
of ligaments and tendons and that which comprise a lot of collagen, and the ability to reduce systemic inflammation after exercise or during exercise is crucial.
Oh yeah, it's imperative actually.
And Restore is highly anti-inflammatory.
It is.
So that would be advantageous.
It is.
So people that like to win should use it.
Yeah. And when you're performing, when you have brain fog or you just can't get that energy, 0 in is there to really assist people. Again, not with just the microbes and mycotoxins, but with everything around it so that you can perform to your best ability. Most athletes that are using this are also using it every day. They just use more when they're performing, just so you guys know. And they do it by their increasing the dopamine and the serotonin. I think it's on the next slide that talks about this, because your dopamine and serotonin are related to happiness, focus, calmness for serotonin. Dopamine is linked to reward, motivation, and productivity. So both of these neurotransmitters are trying to get you to hit certain marks, and those help with athletic performance. They also help in everyday life because we all want to be happy. We all want to be focused. We all want to be calm.
We just want to crush everything that we do.
That's right.
We have on the to-do list of the day. You actually want to get it done, and you want to have time at the end of the day to do the things you want to do, like spend time with your wife.
That's right. We're never together. We're always at dinners.
This is the first time we've done this in a while, actually.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone asked me the other day, we were joking about last night, saying if Clayton and I were having problems. I'm like, what? I go, no, we're doing great.
I didn't get the memo.
I was like, I didn't get that memo either. We're great. We may not always get along on every topic. We may disagree, but we're happy. We're focused. We're calm.
We know how to come together to find a solution to not being happy with one another. We communicate clearly.
Okay, we communicate. On to the next slide, Crider.
No, but
I know, but let's talk about zeroing in for athletes and not us. I shouldn't have lost focus. So
got a 0
let's talk about neurons, Clay, and the gut-brain connection, because I think that's really important for people to understand the nerves and the vagus nerves and all of those things that are being targeted with 0 in.
If we're going to talk about, the gut and the brain and the vagus nerve, we have to include the third piece, which when you talk to athletes and as coaches, they tell you the third is actually one of the most important things to have. You got to have heart.
You got to have heart.
Right. So the vagus nerve connects the brain, the heart, and the gut. And the gut is producing those neurotransmitters that 0 in is giving the gut the fuel to produce. But those neurotransmitters are then going from your gut through your vagus nerve through your heart to your brain. So your heart's actually getting, that hit as well, because your heart actually needs some of those
Absolutely.
neurotransmitters.
Yeah, it does.
Your heart needs to feel good because then you're driven, and your brain needs the hit to do what it does. So
Well, it's so important. I mean, even when you look at L-tyrosine and the amino acids that build neurotransmitters that are crucial, it boosts how alert you are, how cognitive. And that's why when people are like, why do I feel calmer even though zero in makes me more focused? It's because you're using both to really balance everything out.
almost like a bioscience engineer put this
Almost like
together
it.
with a level of understanding of science that maybe we hadn't possessed yet.
Well, we try to do our best and we have a lot more to do.
How about that?
So we're in a good place with this.
Would you
but
say your best is better than most?
I don't know. I would say my best is my best. when I
Okay,
try.
let me argue that.
Thank you, Crider, for going to the next slide. So let's talk about dopamine and serotonin, two important neurotransmitters in the brain that can enhance it. So Clay, you focus on this a lot. My background as a psychologist, this was things I talked about every day. This is what I dealt with all the time. And even when I was at J&J and we worked on things like risperidol and different things like Zyprexa and different things for basically bipolar people or people that were schizophrenic or severely depressed, we always talked about we've got to increase dopamine and serotonin because you don't want people to live in this perpetual state of depression or
Yep.
sadness.
And you don't want to do it artificially either.
Oh, and I always used to say to people that were depressed, get out of bed in the morning, make a list of what you're going to do, brush your teeth, and then start your day, because laying in bed, you're never going to feel happy. And sometimes you just have to work yourself through it. But zero in gives you that extra focus to help yourself do it.
Hold on, that's not entirely true because we get to cuddle in the morning before we get up, and that helps make everything happy. So quite important to have good cuddle before you get out of bed.
Well, it's
And
just important.
then you hit the ground running.
Well, Clay's right. It's important. You're supposed to have at least 20 seconds of hugging someone or touching someone a day, because
least.
so hug your significant others, hug your friends and your family. It really matters to show that love to each other. And even if it's just in a handshake or a touch, it matters. And so we look at everything from a product perspective, but hopefully at root, you guys also understand that the spiritual, energetic levels of what we're doing are so important. The emotional, mental levels are so important. So if you take these products, don't forget also the personal touch of doing things psychologically, emotionally to stay connected to people, because that will make the products work even better. And I
Don't
mean
leave
that.
this one yet. So I want to hit on these things a little bit.
Okay.
So when we look at dopamine and serotonin, you have the motivation and the drive, and you have this balance between the two, right? Because the serotonin makes everything fun, you're happier. The dopamine makes things driven and allows you to focus on something and hyper focus on it and want to complete it. Now, you don't want to do it artificially, because if you have one of these, right, you see on the bottom here, there's all these notifications. Those are all designed to ping dopamine receptors in your brain to give you an artificial little dopamine hit. So you think, oh, something new happened. So you want to find out what's going on, and you get all these notifications.
That doesn't work for me.
Exactly, because you're a higher functioning being, but this is how it works for people. So if your body, if your gut is actually producing endogenous, naturally produced dopamine and serotonin, these little things, all of the noise on the outside won't bother you. You're able to lock in, you're able to hyper focus. If you're an athlete, you know that training is the most important thing. And the lay people, those people that end up giving up, right, of any exercise or workout, or the challenge you're doing for your lifestyle or your weight loss plan, if you're trying to do that, whatever you're trying to do for your health and wellness or fitness goals, the motivation and drive is so crucial. And if you're relying on external sources to provide that motivation to you, you are going to fail miserably. Now, if you're able to do that internally and you have the literal fire within you, you have that motivation and the drive, which is where those neurotransmitters come in, which is what dopamine and serotonin are, which is what zero in is feeding. The mood enhancement, cakewalk. The energy and endurance, and this is where the fun part really comes in with zero in, is there's a reason that other substances that produce high amounts of dopamine are illegal in sports performance. One, because they're terrible for
But
you.
we're not illegal. We are legal.
We
in
are
sports.
banned substance free, so what's been proven scientifically is that dopamine itself and the use of dopamine in an athlete is what separates really, really good athletes, like Olympic level athletes. It's what separates the Olympic athletes, the ones that are competing in the Olympics, to those that become great ones and that win and dominate. And well, if you train that hard, why would you not want to put yourself in a position to just absolutely crush it when it comes down to crunch time? And when stress comes in, because cortisol and stress actually reduces the body's use or reduces the availability of dopamine and serotonin. And it's dopamine and serotonin that overcome stress. So when it comes down to crunch time, when it comes down to you needing to finish the game or whatever it is, you want to have the highest level of dopamine and serotonin, because then it just comes down to repetition, and as Andy Gorman and I were talking about yesterday in golf, the ability to visualize and translate visualization into execution all comes down to our brain and our intentions ability to create the environment that we're in. So if you visualize something, if you visualize the ball going in the hoop, it's just repetition.
It's just repetition, but I mean, I would think it's a little bit more than that.
Well, it's a lot of work, right? And that's where the
work, yeah.
motivation and the drive to get to that time
Yeah.
comes in. So it's practice, it's repetition, it's performance.
Yeah, because if you're not focused and you don't concentrate, that ball's not going to go in. I mean, it's just not going to go in. So it's really important that you have all of it and that your head's in the right space. Athletes that are depressed or anxious do not do well in sports. So it's really important to have that focus. Clay's right about the cortisol and all of it working together. It's just, you have to make sure that you have the balance throughout the body, period.
That's one of my favorite phrases I hear you say, besides "I love you."
Which one?
Clay's right.
Oh, I don't say that very often.
No,
So Restore, I'm teasing him.
that's not true. It's true.
Restore helps maintain an athlete's body. I have to correct some of the slide crider.
Hey, he went full J-Lo on that. There's
An athlete's body weight regulates blood sugar, cholesterol level, and protects against oxidative
and these
stress.
things are kind of important in any individual, but in athletes specifically, balancing blood sugar and
Right.
Improving metabolism.
Well, I want to point this out to women, because people ask me all the time, does Restore, can it make you gain weight? No, I mean, it's an amazing product that helps with antioxidants. It actually can help with carbohydrate. I can't talk indigestion and digestion. It can help really with any process where you're having problems with bloating or diarrhea or constipation, but it can also help digest carbs. So I want to say that again.
But in a high protein diet as well, which most athletes are doing. So they're getting some carbs, but they're getting higher amounts of protein because they need the protein to build muscle or maintain muscle. The hit on the nanoemulsive aspect of Restore and the apple cider vinegar and what it does for digestion and why you put that in there and why that would be supportive in that process.
Well, I use different ingredients like resveratrol and black cumin seed, and you guys know turmeric, curcumin, aloe vera, apple cider vinegar. Again, you're hitting things that work synergistically in the body, but also aid in how the body is communicating and how it's working correctly. And to me, if you're not hitting certain areas, you're not fully restoring the body. So that's why this particular ingredient was so important. I want to be able to basically, people would have this clean slate and then they come in to restore it where it's beautiful, right? The human body inside. So that was the goal. And it wasn't just one ingredient. It was micro emulsions of different ingredients so that we could utilize those to work synergetically together to make things more bioavailable in the body. So the body is performing again at an optimal level for that body. And I want to say this again, people get sick, athletes get hurt, but what you want to do is give people the support so they're at the highest they can be for their lives. When someone has cancer or someone has multiple sclerosis, that impacts your life. No one can make you just better all of a sudden like this, but what you can do is take certain ingredients into your body And I really focused when I made the root products on trying to give ingredients to people's bodies that would help, again, their body be at the best, right? And that's why it never matters to me that we're making claims. We don't have to make claims. We're trying to really protect against oxidative stress. We're trying to help the free radicals. We're trying to help and boost metabolism. We want to clean the cells and clean the body. And these are all things that we're doing with the different ingredients. And Restore is one that's extremely important, not just for healthy gut, but also for restoring the body after a workout or just a daily life. Like I take it every day.
So this is what Dr. Norbert Kesh.
In fact, my face is orange today because I actually had orange.
treating
I
your
treated
nose.
in my nose last night. Yeah. With Restore.
So Dr. Kesh has found that using Restore 15 minutes after exercise significantly reduces oxidative stress
Yeah.
and systemic inflammation, which leads to better recovery. And if you take a little Restore before you eat, you're going to have the benefits of that improved digestion, which allows you to get everything else in. So you should probably use this a few times a day.
Yeah. I like to take Restore with food. Sometimes I take it alone. Like if I need energy before I'm speaking on stage, if you guys ever see me traveling, I do take a 0 in the morning, but Restore is what you're probably going to see me take before I'm talking because it helps calm me. It helps me feel like I have energy, and I don't like to eat before I talk.
Because
So
it's adaptogenic as well.
yeah, it is. So I don't like to eat. I like to feel like I can eat after I do a talk or after I do a major event. And so Restore is really what I use it, not just internally. I put it on my skin. You guys know this. I use it once or twice a week. It's really important. And then I see the orange, like I was doing a podcast this morning. I thought, what is that on my face? It looks like I have a glow. And then I looked at the mirror and I'd forgotten to rub the Restore off my nose, but it really helps me. It makes me look younger. Like people always say to me, you know what? Your skin looks younger. What are you doing? And Restore is definitely one of the things that I'm doing to my face, not just Reno, not just skin defense, not just the spray. I also do a mask with Restore, and sometimes with Restore Relive and Give Me Back My Youth. Anyway, that's my secret.
So we got Restore benefits.
Yeah. And I think that we need to mention the enhanced mitochondrial function because that's really important. Too, we didn't
So
mention that
Restore
earlier.
assists in mitochondrial
It
function.
does, but we have to be careful making that claim because of Germany.
Because we can't say the M word, but what we can say is improves cellular metabolism and
That-
energy production.
Right. That's what we can say effectively.
Oh,
So that's one of the benefits of Restore. And we have people take it that are professional athletes right before an event, during an event when they're swimming. I'm sure you guys saw Dr. Kesh's slide, and after the event to help them recover. So we have people that will take 3 to 5 a day. I take usually 1 a day unless I'm not feeling well, and then I take more.
no, and I have to put a disclaimer on this because we've had so many outcomes from elite athletes now and from, competitive athletes. But if you're an athlete and you want to be terrible, right? You don't want to win and you really don't want to be competitive, don't use these products, right? Because if you use these, you're going to be better. You're going to improve. So if you don't want to win and you don't want to be competitive and you don't want to have PRs and you don't want to just dominate anything you do in life, don't use this stuff. That's my warning.
Okay.
Okay.
I think most athletes do want to be successful.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Which is why they should
I
use
just
this.
want to make sure you're not transferring the sarcasm in a different way that people understand.
Even our German translation, I think, figured that out. They're like, you know what? If I want to win, I'm going to use this.
Yeah. So if you want to win, use the products. That's what Clay's saying. Give Me Back My Youth is amazing because you've got immune and growth factors. You've got faster recovery, restoration of the gut. That's the aim of this particular product. Probiotics, all natural. It was a cruelty-free program that this goes through. We just sent, it's really hard to source our collagen and colostrum. I think everyone at the root office knows. We just had to send it off for additional testing, and we're hoping we don't run out. I Give Me Back My Youth, I have to be honest, because it's really hard to support and to source. It really is. So bovine colostrum supports stronger, faster athletic recovery. Clay really wanted this type of bovine because it is the best to really help athletes. The other peptides like fish peptides help with people that don't want to use this particular type of peptide or bovine, I'm like Clay. Colostrum and collagen for me is so important for the leaky gut. It's so important for the gut stressors. Being able to take the peptides and reduce the lactose in it and to be able to use it to help people has been fantastic. For those of you that can't take it, because we've had a few people, my answer is it's the best that we have. And I haven't seen another collagen or colostrum like ours. But at some point, we may come out with what I originally made, which was the fish, peptides, bovine, and all the other stuff.
So if you want to be mediocre, we might do something for you too. But
That's what
greatness is
Clayton
not for
says. He's
everyone.
like, Christina, this is the best. And he's right. It's the best formula for the most people. And that's why we launched with it. We're helping people all over the world, whether they're putting it in coffee or putting it relive greens or just taking it alone. I have people that are just eating it by the spoonful and love it.
Did you know that there are athletes that actually will find lactating women and will buy
I did know that.
colostrum
Yeah, I did know that.
from nursing moms?
Well, I mean, any
Because
mother,
they understand the benefits of colostrum, but this is the much better way of doing
the
it.
benefits of colostrum are tremendous. I'm just telling you guys, we really need colostrum. I did know that, by the way, Clay, but that's not what we do. We source it in a cruelty-free program. And we're lucky because we want the colostrum to help again with the growth factors, the immune support, muscle recovery and repair. It's unlike anything else, which is why we have these two ingredients together. And the collagen, you need it for your tendons and your ligaments and the recovery and your flexibility, everything. You really need it for your skin, for your hair, for your nails, for your longevity, for how you feel, how you look. I'm going to tell you guys, this is so very important. And that's why I don't take this every single day, but almost every day. And I'll either use it in the relive greens, or I do a mask for my face, or I will take it in coffee and different things like that. Even juice, I've used it in orange juice and pineapple juice and stuff like that.
But it's phenomenal in one brand of coffee.
In Rahm roast.
Only. You should not put Give Me Back My Youth in any other form of coffee. Only that brought to you by Rahm roast.
Yeah, I will say that Rahm roast is my favorite coffee, but sometimes sometimes I don't have Rahm roast, so I can put it in other stuff too.
Oh, do we have like case studies? And
we have a protocol. So I told you guys, I promised you guys that we were working on protocols. What we wanted to do was to be able to provide protocols based around a diagnosis, or just based around sports, for example. And I'm not sure Kreider, if it's on the next deck, but we should have the protocol on this deck. Yeah. This is our endurance athlete protocol. We're going to be doing this around autism, around cancer, around multiple sclerosis, around everything. We're recommending protocols, which will be added to CTC as well for doctors. But this is what we came up with from the case studies of what people should take. Clean Slate is a part of it. Relive Greens is, and so is Immune Defense Shield. And then the athletic endurance pack is there as well. And I'll let Clay go over
So
it.
this isn't just from, hey, we put these together and this is how you should do stuff. This protocol was actually derived from the world record holder in outdoor endurance distance swimming.
Not just him.
And others.
We were using it with fencing, with golf, with tennis, with gymnastics, with a lot of the athletes. This is what they're using.
And these aren't people that are just like, I'm going to go out and go for a swim, or I'm going to go knock the ball around a little bit.
We need to go back to the protocol. What happened?
Did somebody take over?
Yeah, we got to go to where we were, guys. I don't know
Tiger dropped the ball. She was laying on.
Let's just stay right here. So this is.
So you have the approach of starting the same thing with everybody. We recommend you start slower with Clean Slate. So you get 2 to 4 drops in the morning and the evening. You do that for 3 days, and you just every 3 days you add a drop of Clean Slate.
And that can vary, just so you know. So
you can start bigger if you want, but we recommend everybody start slow for 2 reasons. One, this stuff works better than anything that's ever been in the market. And oh, by the way, that's proven. And the second part is the body is so amazing at adapting to energy and frequencies, and Clean Slate is loaded with those. So giving even a drop of Clean Slate to a lot of people puts their body into hyperdrive of healing, and sometimes that can be a little much. So we don't want to push people until they know that they're driving a Ferrari and not an old Yugo.
Well,
And if you
some-
drive an old Yugo, I don't have a problem with it. It just doesn't perform like a Ferrari.
Well, some doctors don't agree with that though. They'll give people, 10 drops in the morning right away or 10 at night. It just depends on the doctor, but this is what we recommend for overall athletes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm sure you know this, Clay, every doctor has a different way.
And if you're under the care of a practitioner, then you can strongly encourage you to listen to your practitioner, especially if they're practitioners that work with us, because did you know that doctors that work with root products have been proven to be more intelligent?
I don't know about that, but we have amazing
Exactly true.
doctors.
They get better outcomes too. So if your doctor isn't recommending root products, find another doctor. If you don't have one can be recommended for you. But 0N. You start with 0N in the morning, take one capsule in the morning. And then after a few days, you can increase to another one. And as Dr. Rahm was mentioning, this is honestly a feel thing for people to figure out what works best for your body, when you want to take it. But the one thing, hey, Ginger Keanu, are you on here?
Yes, Ginger Keanu is on here.
Let's go. Okay, so I want
see
Patrick.
everyone, which I hate. I
want Patrick to give me some insight into this, because he was at a men's retreat over the weekend and he brought a bunch of goodies. So he was basically drugging all the other men at the men's retreat. There we go.
Yeah, Ted's in here with
Hey,
me.
define men's retreat.
Oh, can you make it
define that?
Dr.
It was
Rahm
a-
wants to see everybody here.
I like to see everyone during the calls and they're not on here.
So you were at your men's retreat. You took some 0N with you.
I did. I actually took all the goodies with me, and I was making smoothies, and I brought my greens. I brought my Give Me Back My Youth.
So you gave one of the guys some 0N before bedtime. It won't do it that way because we have this shared screen. So all you're going to get is that. So talk about what this guy came back to you with. You gave him a capsule of 0N before bed.
Yeah. So before we started, and it was basically just, self-development. So talking a lot of roadblocks or things and how you're stuck. And so this gentleman was one of the facilitators. He was 71 years old. And in the morning, before we got started, I gave everyone a pill of 0N. I explained the ingredients and was like, we're going to need energy throughout the day, because the day was starting at 8 a.m. and it didn't end until 10 p.m. And I didn't know that he saved it. And he ended up waiting until the night. And he said, I wanted to take it for bed because I heard what you said about helping you with sleep. And I didn't realize it until the next day. But at breakfast the next morning, I saw that he was wearing a Whoop bracelet. And so he handed me his phone to look at all the data that the Whoop bracelet captured. And it was across the board, 92% better than his prior 30 days of data. Everything from lower HRV to increased REM, increased deep sleep. And he's like, can I have another one for tonight? And now he just messaged me and bought a pack. So everyone at the retreat was like, this is amazing. I need more. How do I get more?
Why don't people believe us? Why? It's so easy.
You guys look so cute in white shirts together with the white and
Oh,
gray
wait.
background. You
Aw.
look filtered almost.
You guys filtered it, didn't you, Dawson?
Yeah, I filtered it with fairy dust. Does it look like, are there unicorn things coming out of my head and everything?
Dawson is rubbing off on you guys.
Oh
Dawson
my
was doing a
God.
podcast with me yesterday. He goes, is this filtered? And I go, I don't think so, but he wanted to. It looks like you guys are. But I'm glad you did that, Patrick, because people can really see the change with 0N. I don't understand, to be honest, when people tell me they don't feel it. I always say it's good if you don't feel it, but pay attention to how you feel. If you take it in the morning, how do you feel at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock? That's when I notice a big change, because my personality, I'll get tired a little bit around 3 or 4 and I kick through it. But if I've taken a 0N, I don't have to kick through it. And with these endurance athletes, the protocol goes up to 3 to 4 a day. And again, like Clayton says, you can alternate it. We need to go back to the screen so everyone can make sure they see this protocol, because it also talks about restore. And restore as part of the protocol is 1 sachet in the morning, and after 7 days, increasing it to 2 sachets. However, there are athletes that they'll increase it right away. There are athletes that'll go to 3 or 4, like if you're swimming or running or doing an endurance sports. I know Dr. Keshkesh and Tina and Michelle Davis, all these doctors are using higher doses. Dr. Armand, it just depends.
And
And then,
using one after workouts.
Yeah. well, and then I gotta tell you, I said this earlier, Relive greens to me is so important. I take 3 teaspoons a day. When I don't take just one, to be honest. When I make Relive greens, I take one, I take usually 3, sometimes 2, you know that, Clay, you
Yeah.
make it for me. And sometimes more, to be honest, because that's kind of my thing is Relive greens. I feel so much better. And I don't want to forget to tell people it has a pre and probiotic in it, just so you guys understand that about Relive greens. Or I don't want to forget to mention again that it does have nano-emulsions, which are really helping detoxify the body or clean the body, I guess is a better way of saying it, that assist with everything else.
Well, and as we've gone over before, the vitamins, the minerals, the key trace minerals, all of the phyto compounds, and even the amino acids that are needed for like glutathione production and recovery and such are all in their natural, you can say chelated, naturally occurring sources that when combined, your body, you don't have to take a vitamin supplement because you're actually taking a whole food supplement that has all of those already in it, which is really crucial.
And then, Ted and I were at a dinner last night talking about immune defense shield because NAD is such a hot topic, and understanding that NAD is part of what determines how you feel, how you look, your longevity. Immune defense shield is an extremely important product because it's stable for 2 years. It's 1 capsule per day for 7 days. However, Clayton and I have taken 3 to 4 NAD supplements a day before when we're sick. He just took 6.
I took 6 last night before I went to bed because I had sinus infection and I wasn't feeling good, and
He feels a lot better.
wanted to get rid of it quickly. It worked.
It works. It's a really great, in fact, I need to take it today too, because right now people are being exposed to different viruses and bacteria and fungus. People are getting sick again. You got to start using the immune defense shield. If you're an athlete, that means you too. If you are not using natural barrier support right now when all this stuff is happening, you need to go back to that. Remember, with some of this, you may need to eat it with food or take it with food. Like natural barrier support, I think does better with food.
Like you'll dry heave if you don't.
Yeah, immune defense shield, if you're taking it more than one, I would take it with food, or just get used to it because your digestive system has to get used to it. And then give me back my youth again, 2 teaspoons in the morning or evening, to really help with your body.
Can we hit on that real quick? Because not just the dosage, but the timing of the dosage is so important. So give me back my youth. If you take 1 teaspoon in the morning, it can be great. But if you take 1 before bed, when your body is working to regenerate, and you take your clean slate with it.
It's better at nighttime because of your body regenerating. And just so you guys know, NAD is the same way. So NAD is something that's in immune defense shield and quercetin, along with other vitamins and minerals that really help, give your body the fuel for the mitochondria. We can't say that word in some of the countries. That's why we steered away from it. But you need the NAD to work in order to be able to fight things. And when you're sleeping, your body's regenerating. This is a great point from Clay. Restore, Relive greens, especially though immune defense shield and give me back my youth. Those are great to take at night. Clean slate, I take in the morning and the night. Again, everyone's different, but please remember, there is something to be said about the circadian rhythm and when you should go to sleep and when you should wake up, as well as when you should take products. And when you're sleeping, you just are downloading things, whether it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, or physically. So you got to remember that's your time to heal. That's your time for your body to rest and get better. And that's a great time to take these products.
Because it feeds that process. So you can think of during the day, your body's trying to do all the work it needs to do, for movement and function. Those are the times that a lot of, all of your recovery and your regeneration pathways are put on hold. It's the same reason the old adage of don't go swimming right after you eat, because your digestive system is trying to work. Then if you go swimming, it's the same thing with working out in any capacity. You're not going to go eat a bunch of food and then go work out because your digestive system needs time to work. And that takes away from the physical output. But if you're trying to work out after just eating, you're going to get all bogged down and feel sluggish because your gut's full. So you have to create balance. So during the day, you've got the stuff you need to do. So you can work to replenish a lot of that stuff at night when you're going to rest and sleep. because that's when regeneration and recovery takes place.
Well, and then people always ask about zero in. Clay loves zero in at night. I made zero in the beginning. I've said this a million times. Just to reiterate it, it was a focus on women and sexual and health and performance. And so,
So every woman should take 2 of these a night.
well, I mean, I don't know that every woman should, but it does have a performance component related to everything. And to me, that's not even, I know Clay makes a joke out of it and I think it's funny, but for me, as a psychologist that studied this my whole career, you know, people deserve to be happy. They deserve to have good relationships. Men and women deserve to achieve different levels of things sexually, mentally, emotionally, physically. That's not anything to laugh about. It's just a fact. And we're going to be doing a few things to really focus on that because there's not a lot of women talking about these things. And we should talk about it. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's something that we need to celebrate as human beings, that we are who we are. We have this whole new generation right now that everything is through social media and not through touch. And the thing is, touch is important and the physical is important as well as the spiritual. So bringing all that together, to me, clean slate and zero in were such important factors into really giving this joy back to people, but you have to get them to try it. So that's why it's so important. And I hope we have one more slide. They may not have put the last slide on here. Kreider, if there's one more, put it on. And if not, I'm
Tiger
just
go.
gonna,
Oh,
we didn't. Okay, we had another slide we'll have to post on the silver and platinum group, which was just the it was just the 3 products in our bundle pack. I think it's in the beginning. Yeah, we can go back right here.
booyah.
So this is our fitness pack, and we also have a fitness protocol around that we can post that goes along with the endurance protocol so you guys can see it. And that way, if you want to advertise it to people as the fitness pack, you can. But don't forget to tell them about the protocol that includes the other ingredients as well. And don't forget to tell people we're all athletes in our own way. We're all performing. I hate when I hear someone say they're not an athlete. And here's what I say, we're all athletes. We're performing every day. Our bodies are performing in different ways. Just because it's not in some kind of athletic game doesn't mean you're not an athlete. We're all here to live the healthiest, best life possible. And that's what we're going to do because we're in this community together. We're working together towards this, and we want to help as many people possible to hit that as well. We're done, I think.
I didn't want to say anything and ruin
It's 3:04. You never run it.
it. Oh, well, thank you, doctor.
So we're thankful again for everyone. I have had so many WhatsApps and messages, and we're doing lots of podcasts and interviews, Clayton and I both. So hopefully we're getting back to everyone the way that we should. We're thankful.
And don't get offended if she doesn't get back to you quickly. It just means you're not as important.
That's
as
not
other
true.
people.
Everybody's important that texts me. That's not true, Clayton.
Oh, I was just giving people
That's not true at all.
something they could take with them.
Don't listen to Clayton.
If you take nothing else away from this hour-long conversation, take that. Don't listen to Clayton. Listen to the doctor.
That's not true. I'm just teasing him. I want all of us to understand that we are all equally important and we're doing our best to get back to everyone. And I'm just thankful for this whole community. We're going to be back in Europe in
Soon.
September and October.
And remember, we are all an imperfect piece
To a
to a
perfect
perfect
puzzle.
puzzle.
That's right.
So be your piece.
Be yourself. Hey, when people tell you to not look a certain way or act a certain way or dress a certain way, do what you
They don't know how your piece is cut.
be yourself, and you're the best self possible that anyone could ever have. You guys are each gifts to this world, and I want to say thank you and just be the perfect gift. Be yourself. That's all
There's
you
a
have
wise
to do.
man that said, "You're a peacock. We got to let you fly."
Clay.
It's true.
Okay, we're
Roland,
finished.
translate that. Konnichiwa, my friends.
Bye, you guys.